Good morning, everyone. Seems like it's going to be an uneventful day so far. Little weakness here after yesterday. Yesterday was inside of last week's range. We weren't expecting too much. Things came off of the lows and stopped at resistance. As with spiders, this was our area. Actually, I thought maybe it could actually get into the unfilled gap, but got a little bit in there and didn't get much further than that. Once it created this pivot high during the day, that was it. And then buyers just gave it up. So things are down a little bit here this morning, gapping down toward the low of yesterday's range. A little disappointing. Guess maybe oil up a little bit, interest rates up a little bit, dollar up a little bit. But everything pretty much just trading, kind of middle of nowhere. So, big numbers coming out tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and I think that'll see where things are going to go. So I wouldn't read too much into what's happening here today. Down here at the low of the overnight session, coming down to yesterday's lows. So gapping down to the low of a relatively bullish bar, obviously not a good start to the day. That being said, I doubt it's going to go down a whole heck of a lot. So just looking at this again down here, I'm assuming it's going to come down to the low, and then it's got a little unfilled gap area down here. Move this. Little tiny green thing over here. Oh, somewhere in there, I suspect things will come down to, and maybe come down to that hourly pivot if the selling continues. It's not that far. I mean, you can see where the cursor is as I line it up on the overnight data. For it to get down into that gap area isn't very far to keep going down before buyers will want to step in and give it a try. So yesterday's high becomes first resistance, and I don't know what would drive it back up there, but we'll see what kind of price action develops. I expect yesterday's low will not hold. Eventually, I mean, it's going to test that area, and then we'll see what actually happens from there. But relatively small range, so yeah, it could be a pretty boring day. So here's our reference point of support, and let's take a pick of the futures here before we go to SPX. Inside day, close well. Taking your Ambien. All right. Yeah, I don't know. You never know, right? You got to be here in case something develops that could be taken advantage of. That's the way it is. But it sure seems like nothing much is going to happen here. There isn't anything news of significance coming out. So things are drifting lower as we're sitting here. I hope it moves more than what it is right now. This is kind of just coming down, but the next pivot is down here, as you can see, 45.18-ish. And so this was a little resistance, and when it dipped down, it came up, created this pivot high during the day, which was aligned over here to the left, and this is drifting lower. And I suspect it comes down here. When the buyers will give it a shot, the algos will be there, and just to see if it pops up several ticks and chop it around. And I wouldn't get involved. SPX worked out nicely yesterday. I said the downside was a no-brainer. Was at 44.10, and the top was at 45.10. Didn't get there. We had the initial morning dip, and then the rally, and didn't get very far. So neither strike was touched, and I suspect neither one's going to get touched today. And prices are opening up here. It's in the middle of the range. And 4,400 is a significant level. There's lots of kind of like it would just, the term is pinned, where if it gets there, it'll just going to get stuck. That's a long way down. So I just don't see it getting down there today unless some surprise news comes out. Maybe it gets down there tomorrow if the inflation news is negative. But that's going to be a pretty significant level because as we go into the end of the week and options expiration, 4,400, 4,450. I'm just looking at today. 4,450 is a large open interest in puts. So it may just get stuck there. And you can see that's give or take around day before yesterday's closing price. Somewhere you can see right here, this pivot. I wouldn't get so hung up on the price. I'm just saying that strike of 4,450 has the largest open interest put expiring this week, and actually the same on the call side. So it may just get stuck there at that pivot and go just, it'll be a focal point to see if it starts to move from there. And if it does, well, maybe it gets a little further. Anyway, just take note of that 4,450 is a level that could just get prices wiggling around there for a while. All right. Checking there. Transports have been weak. They're down several days in a row. They're on a pivot. Would make sense that they'd stabilize. They did. They didn't do much. So just little narrow range bars down here. There's nothing to do. It's not a short. There's not a long. It hasn't consolidated long enough yet. If things hold up, maybe it gets a bounce tomorrow. Right now, there's just nothing there to even consider. The Dow almost pegged the 50, got knocked back down. Nothing going on. Ping pong, back and forth. Let's go to the futures. And you can see, they didn't even get to the 50, just a little minor, and they're starting to dive here. But they'll hit this pivot when they right about there. So you got congestion here. That's why it's so important to look at multiple time frames and see what's to the left. This looks like, like it's just cratering. Well, it is cratering on this 5-minute chart, going straight down, but it's coming into a support level. And, you just never want to enter after something's fallen 6 bars in a row like that, especially into support. So as always, we'll just see where things shape up. The Russell was down on that support. And this gave it back. And this still isn't a high probability pattern, meaning even though it got rejected here, and it's, it's not that large of a range expansion bar, but it is a topping tail bar. More ominous is the weekly chart here. And, this week has just begun. And with this inflation news coming, things could change a lot, of course. And this could certainly be driven down. That's a bearish 180. But, we got to wait for the news to come out. And I think today is going to probably just rattle around here. And Q's holding up the best. The FANGs have been, they held up pretty good yesterday. And I didn't look at them this morning. See which way they're going. Things are Oracle. That's one of the, I'd say one of the underpinnings of the market from a bullish point of view is that software stocks have been outperforming. And this is not helping. Look at the size of that gap down. And this was one of the best looking stocks out there. And so this thing gapping down, it's kind of, look, we've all been there one time or another. I was going to say it's kind of disheartening to see something like this that was moving so nicely and then, give back all of those gains and so fast. but it is what it is. But software was an outperforming sector. And I was wondering what's Microsoft doing here. Look at that gapping below. It's a little mini breakout bar. You can call it a little one-day island reversal, bearish island reversal, gapping below that bar's low, a gap up and a gap down. Again, I don't know where it's going to end, but it's a bad start. You could have not faulted anyone for wanting to own this and seeing if it could pop up, knowing the Oracle news was coming. But anyway, it looked like it could go higher. Not that this is software. Just curious. Yeah, down a bit. Meta looked like it was definitely set to go higher today. Doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad at all, considering it's coming in a little bit. It's at the top of yesterday's range. It's definitely one that could form a 1, 2, 3 and then continue to go higher. And Tesla was the big winner yesterday. That could, that's at the top of the range. That could form a 1, 2, 3. Little weakness there. So anything of significance happening here that I could speak on? This was a disappointment, of course, and this came in, it's down a little bit. I think we're going to have to wait through today and just see, bear through today. Anyway, tomorrow the news comes out. This is bad. Right? We talked about it yesterday. Gasoline continuing to go higher. Inflation. Where is oil? And the energy stocks gave it up in part today. And so here we see energy continuing to break out above this range. It's got a void above. So oil going higher, gasoline going higher. Not what we want to see from the bullish point of view. Interest rates is the 5-year doing nothing but green on the day. 10-year doing nothing. 30-year down a little bit. Gold was down a bit. Wasn't breaking any significant support. It's in this trading range. You can see this on the weekly chart. And anytime you get a chart that looks like this, and one of the visual aids is the moving averages. And when you see the moving averages slicing through the middle of prices like that, and it's whipping back and forth, just go to a higher time frame and condense the data to make sense of it. So this trading range is going on here. One of my comments in the weekend video for the newsletter was that with the dollar going up like it is, not that this is anything to consider, but it is showing some relative strength from the point of view of it should be breaking through the bottom of the range based on, what the dollar, breaking out like this. Now, the dollar is whatever down here a little bit. That was down. It's fluffing around there, but euro looks like it's coming down to a significant support level. So we'll see if it can make the turn there. And all of these have big declines. The pound could probably go down a little bit more. Yen. So everything is coming, all of these currencies are coming down to significant support levels. They look like they can go a bit more. So just keep that in mind, because if they all were to start dropping, over a couple of days, let's see what this inflation number does. Maybe this could, trigger this September, little sell-off kind of thing that many would have been talking about. So set some alerts, see where things are going to go. And today we'll just not be the frog in the blender, so to speak, meaning to get chopped up in a lot of erratic price action. Last I didn't look at silver, but still trading range, just holding up okay. Bitcoin, nice reversal and cut off the bottom of the trading range. So look to the left. This was breaking down yesterday. It looked bad. Some of the stocks related to that certainly look bad. And now we get this breakdown failure and bullish 180. The day is just beginning. But that, well, was a good sign here. This was on news of that ETF. And now we've got a technical breakdown and failure reversal. So good for the stocks related that move around with Bitcoin. On the 200 as well, and at the prior low. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, I have, we're in coin already, long stock. But I'll keep an eye on it for a put spread. We're in a partial lot of block. So that's on my list to add. Let's say coin, big old W bottom, 1, 2, 3. Bottoming tail held below, gapping up. So it's not gapping over yesterday's high. So if it can ideally after 3 p.m. hold up well and then take out yesterday's high, that's an add. Block, like I said, we're in a third lot already. Today is Tuesday. If it can take out Friday's high, then I'll be looking to sell 21 puts on this that expire Friday as a new trade. Let's take a look at earnings. There's not many of them. Avo, it's opening flat in a downtrend, no interest. KC 250, that's a nice gap. I'll put that in bottom right here. I got an Oracle in the other computer. Oracle. I actually did myself. I shorted the 140 calls on this yesterday. We're talking about whether to give it to subscribers or not, and I decided not to, but that's working out beautifully. And now, this obviously is a real company, nasty gap. Let's see what it does at the open. But 30-minute high then is a candidate to sell a put for Friday. What I'm going to do, Robert, particularly because tomorrow afternoon I'm heading down to the Keys, so be away for a bit. So what I'm gonna do is wait for the options to open, and then I'm gonna do what I teach people about. Try to get a free call spread. So what I will do, instead of closing my 140s, I guarantee there'll be a lower strike that I can buy for a penny. And then I got myself a free bull call debit spread. That's how you get a free spread out of a short option. So that's the answer to your question. Papo asking about any word on Apple today. Well, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me, but yeah, all eyes are on Apple today. It's their annual conference, starts at 1 o'clock. So it will definitely be moving around. It's in a trading range. Got whacked here, 90% retracement, bounced 2 days, no pattern intraday. I would just stay away from it until we have a pattern, maybe later on. But yeah, all eyes will be on that at 1 o'clock. All right, bowl opening flat, no interest. F still just in a death trend here. I had set an alarm at 150. If it can take out yesterday's high, it might bounce to 75 could give us a bounce and a downtrend, but as of now, no interest. All right, these are just, I got always a huge watch list. My UNH alarm went off. This is a bear flag kind of thing. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about classical patterns and MT live and how we overlay our concepts. So bear flag, okay, but now use our terminology. Wide range igniting from a sell setup in a downtrend, less than 50% bounce, green bar ignored, bearish price action, gap down, price void, bear 1, 2, 3 weekly. You see how every one of those words I just threw out is objective instead of just saying, oh, bear flag, let me short it. So yeah, it's bearish consolidation, but so we have this as a call spread idea. It was in the weekend letter. UPS, see that this was a tradable Climo. Steady selling, yes. Because see how I see how price action is just kind of parallel. But it was tradable for a bounce. Didn't go very far, as you can see, because they're in downtrends, daily, weekly. They're having some more talk about their union problems and how much money that's going to cost them to kind of get through all that mess. But you know, it's a real company. I'll watch it. The farther it gets from the 20 and the 20 from the 50, it'll reverse someday. Zion Regional Bank gapping up here with no pattern. Gurn gapping over this base. So that's a shock pattern. That's a shock. So let's watch that. AER. It's a shock to the downside. 30, so it's a breakout failure. 30-minute low. This is a short idea. AER. Law. I guess so. Let's go by the ticker. And say when I look at the ticker, they show the last print, and then they show, the change. And in my head, I just quickly calculate, and I say, wow, that's a nasty gap. And then I look at the chart. So you can see here, gapping down here to 200. That's a nasty, nasty gap on law. People have no respect for the law anymore, Robert. Well, in many major cities, we know that they surely don't. But I don't know what to do with that. It's just a nasty gap. All right, AAP. I had as a short watch. Look at this sell setup up here. That's gapping down. That's nasty. Daily, weekly, monthly. I remember when this thing got whacked on earnings and couldn't bounce. Look at this. Man, $160 down to 60. But it's in a downtrend, and there's no turn. Nothing to do yet. Carvana buy setup, nice range expansion, gapping down. I set an alarm at 50 spot 80. CGNT, another bullish shock gap, but the price void's not as good as this one, as that other one I showed you over there. Well, I'll delete that. MLTX gap in 6250. So there's a bullish gap. Oh, this is a therapeutic stock though. So those have higher risk, but that's a I wouldn't call it a pro gap just because it's in a it's strong, it's in a trading range, but it's a bullish as can be gap, that's for sure. WMS. Oh, McGraw asked me about this. It's some service of his to, mortgage the house, buy it. And I'm like, McGraw, it's a nasty on top on the weekly. I mean, I wouldn't, it's greater than 100% retreat. Look at this ASTI moving right here. That was on my gap list. Then this one, I got no pattern on WMS. So look, this was on my watch list here, gap into 11 over a red bar. Now that's a pro gap. This was in a nasty gapping over a red bar. You know, I implicit when I say pro gap is it needs to hold it. So if this sells off back to yesterday's low, it's like, all right, that was a failed bullish gap. But I have it right here in the middle chart. That looks good to watch. Work, WRK, beautiful 1, 2, 3 gapping up. Now let's say hypothetically this was gapping up just to 35. Then I would be all over this for a 5-minute high. But now, you know, it's gapping up here. So there's no formula to say something's an excessive gap. The formula that's a no-brainer to me is the ones where I say, I wish it was opening up here. So can you use, I like them opening up just over, you know, resistance, shock bar with a price void. And that would be 35 bucks right here. But it's worthy. Remember that movie? I Am Worthy. Whoever said that? Sounds kind of something like John Kerry would say. No, is it John Kerry? What's this person? Jim Carrey, the comedian. I'm pretty sure he said I am worthy in some movie. All right, VRNS, nice wide range bar. All right, I got alarms going off, so let me pay attention. Boot. Boot is a short, 1, 2, 3. That's already posted. 5 in. 5 in, we can short under this prior low. It's has some buyers here at the open, so I'm just going to set a new alarm right now. It's eyeballing 68.45. There's 68.50 is fine. That's where the alarm was in the first place. All right, so boot was courtesy of Sam I Am, who became famous, as you know, in the Dr. Seuss series. ACG, yeah. That was on your list yesterday. Yeah, I liked it. Closing breakout. Yep, looks great. Yeah, you can buy. I mean, I know you're in it, but as a new trade, 5-minute high, stop yesterday's low. Looks good. Wow, 5 and alarm already went off again. Look at that. Greg, do you like this one? 5-minute low? Do you have subscribers? The 1, 2, 3. Greg's already taking the day off. Wow, it's worse than banker hours. All right, let's short this 5-minute low. Then KC gap's way too big, so let me put 5 in here. Let's say STI. Nah, that's whipping around too much. Netflix. This we did a put spread yesterday, so low alarm went off here, but it's just a heads up. I'll set a new alarm for 4:40. This Microsoft put spread Ford already hitting. Ford alarm, it's a 1, 2, 3. I had an early alarm. That's a 1, 2, 3. I said to buy calls. Let me see what a naked put is also. But that's good to go. Long calls, although you should be able to get price improvement because it's run proportionally a lot already. All right, KBR, there's no potent reversal for me, so it's too early. Lights, it's down a lot. Oh, you're in it, my bad. All right, UNH is good to go on the call side if we get filled. Let me see what the numbers. Oh, really, Scott? Thanks for that information. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So thank you very much for that. That is very good information.
You know, Dan's suggestion, it doesn't sound like you look at the level 2.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, so I probably TradeStation should have this ability. Like if you could put like a little snapshot kind of thing on the chart that just shows the bid-ask spread,
All right.
you know, and I had that on eSignal when I hover over the chart, it shows me that because I don't pay all that much attention to the level 2. Maybe in the moment I look at it, but you know, I want to know what that spread is all the time.
All right, UNH, we're not going to get filled, so just we'll leave it for now. Dash. Oh, Dash, we had a put spread from